Hello, Tar Heel Nation. Welcome back to another episode of UNC Hoops Talk podcast. I'm your host, Dan DeWitt. We got all good news this week. 2-0 for the Tar Heels. Take down rival state, I guess we'll say. And then we take down Pittsburgh at their place, who had been playing well. And probably the best part of all of it, even more than the 2-0, is that the way we're playing. So we're going to jump into that. We're going to talk about those games, look ahead to the next couple weeks probably, because I'm going to be leaving out of town, and so we'll look ahead and prepare for those games as well. But thanks for coming in, listening, watching, supporting the podcast. Share it with all your friends and family like you guys do, and let's unite Tar Heel Nation. It's starting to look up for sure for the Tar Heels. We turned the corner, or it seems like since the last podcast I kind of asked that question, and we keep going, so we're gonna be all positive vibes today, and we're gonna roll with it. So, jumping into the first game, played NC State Saturday afternoon on ESPN, and we came out with the 86-76 win. Good win. Not all great things. Caleb Love still had 5 turnovers, but we ended up with 13 overall. We shot the ball okay, 4 for 11 from 3. We were 54% overall. I think first half we were 57%. In the second half I think they said this is the first game both halves were over 50% shooting for us. So that was good. We were led by, make sure I get this right, Baycott, 17 points, 8 rebounds. Sharp, 16 points, 10 rebounds, was right there as well with his, I think, second double-double of the season. Cable Love didn't shoot the 3 well. He's 0 for 2, but 6 for 15 is okay-ish. We got 15 points out of him. 10 points out of RJ, 10 points out of Harris in 10 minutes. So that was very productive. And then 8 points out of Kerwin with a couple of big threes in the stretch there. Even Roy had mentioned that. Brooks kind of struggled, only shot 5 times, 4 points, 4 rebounds. Leaky, about what we need, 4 points, 5 rebounds, a couple assists. And just a good win. We out-rebounded them 44-30. They did have a lot of block shots, as 9 block shots, 7 of them by Manny Bates, but again, we did what we had to do. We took care of business. A couple of, again, still stretches there where like we can't score or we just make some dumb turnovers. But overall, a really good game for the Tar Heels. We got 17 points off turnovers, 48 points in the paint. We had a few fast break points, lots of bench points, which is good. Of course, that means we don't always get the point production out of our starters, Leakey and Garrison especially, and Walton was down a little bit, but other guys picked it up, and that's kind of what we want. And if you don't follow me on Twitter, you should, at @AllTarHeelDan. But before each game, the day of the game, we do a predictions contest where you predict the score, and winner gets a shout out. But also I do a poll of like who's going to be the leading scorer for that game. And you only get 4 options on Twitter. And so at the beginning of the season, it was like same 4 guys. And it was more like, do I even put him on there? He's not scoring much. Now it's like we have about 7 guys that could go on there. I feel like at least 6. And I feel like you're leaving somebody off by not being in that top. But that's a better problem to have than we had earlier in the season. So then last night, Tuesday, we went to Pittsburgh, who had been playing well, just beat Duke. I probably got right now the ACC Player of the Year on their team in Champaign. And we come out of there with a 75-65 win. Started off still kind of slow. It was back and forth the first half. We ended up with a 7-point lead at halftime. Then we did stretch it out in the second half to like 16 maybe was our largest lead. Let's see largest lead. It's not telling me here. So I don't know. I think it was about 16 was our largest lead. And it's like, we're going to keep ballooning this. That was still with like 10 to 8 minutes left in the second half. And then, we kind of, again, had a stretch there where we didn't score efficiently. We turned the ball over a few times, just kind of made some dumb mistakes. And before we knew it, I think I got it down to at least 5, maybe even 3 before we kind of took care of business there late in the second half and ended up with a 75-65 win. Again, shot the ball good in the second half. It was 45% in the first half, 61% in the second half. So for the game, we were over 50%. 3, we didn't shoot great. 4 for 17. Walton had 2. Caleb had 1 late. I guess you say a big shot, not huge, but RJ had 1 as well. We were led by Baycott again, 21 points, 10 rebounds. He's playing great. I mean, he's obviously our most consistent, probably our best player right now. And if we can keep knocking down outside shots so that they have to be honest, he's almost unstoppable in there. He was 8 for 10 in this game. Look at how efficient he was in the other game. 8 for 12 against State, so 8 for 10 in this one. 5 for 6 from the free throw line. It's great to see. But yeah, he's 3 blocks as well. He had a huge block, maybe even a couple against State, but 3 blocks in this one against Pittsburgh as well. Garrison 16 and 6, much better for him. Kerwin 10 points, had a couple of threes, like I said before. Caleb only 8 points, 1 for 5 from 3, 3 for 10 shooting, so not as good as he had kind of been doing. And then we got 6 from Dayron, 5 from Leakey, 5 from RJ, a couple from Playtech, a couple from Harris. And it seems like, kind of looking at even minutes, we're down to about a 7-8 person routine. We got 7 people in double digits, and then Playtech with 9. Harris was 7. I don't know if that's just matchups for Playtech. I'm trying to look back here at State. Playtech had 8 men against State, so it seems like he's going to be kind of in that 7 to 10 range. Harris right now is 17. I think for Harris, the hardest part is where do you take the minutes from? And for Leakey, it's more, or for Playtech, I mean, it's more of a matchup thing, whether he can be on the floor or not. But yeah, really good game against Pittsburgh here. Again, we're looking good. We still have stretches, so there's still room for improvement, but I think that's a good thing, that we can still get better. But yeah, we just look really good. Caleb is making better choices. This game, I know he had 5 turnovers, I said, against State, but this one he had 5 assists, 1 turnover. Garrison had 3, and then we got 3 guys with 2 turnovers for 13 total, but pretty good there. And that's what, like we said, if we can stay in 10 to 13, 14 turnovers, shoot the ball well enough from the outside to be able to feed our big guys and for them to do work, we should be good. And that's kind of the other point I want to make today, or in this game, I should say. In State, where Caleb, I think, had the most shots with 15, then Baycott had 12, Dayron had 13, and then, like I said, Garrison Brooks only had 5. In this game, Baycott had 10, Garrison had 11, Caleb still had 10, but at least our bigs are getting more shots than our wings and our point guards and guards. So that's the way it's got to be. We got to feed the big guys. When they get doubled, or when they're in a crowd, they can kick it back out for Caleb and Kerwin and RJ and those guys, Playtech, to shoot the 3. Obviously, they can still drive and dish and stuff like that, but we gotta be feeding the big guys first. And obviously, they've been told that all year. It's what Roy wants, and now we're figuring out how to do it. But also, I think the outside shooting is helping along with that. So yeah, now we just gotta improve on this. As far as team stats here, we out-rebounded them 37-29, 14 offensive rebounds, 22 assists, which is a good mark there on 32. 32 makes. We had 22 assists. So that's pretty good. 15 bench points in this one. A few fast break points, not a ton. 8 there. Second chance points, which has been huge for us this year. We got 18 of those. But I guess the other point I'll make too, in Pittsburgh and even in State, our offense is becoming more efficient, shooting better, taking better shots, and resulting in obviously making them and scoring more. I remember when we were stuck down in the 60s and barely scoring anything. At least we're now in mid 70s and getting into the 80s. But also our defense has looked a lot better. I did think against Pittsburgh last night we weren't quite as focused as we had looked against State and whoever the game was before State, Wake Forest. We had moments. I think State was probably better because they were that much more focused because they had beat us before. But at Pittsburgh, we looked a little unfocused, I guess. our defense was good, but not as good as it had looked or that it could be. They were kind of uninterested at times. But you can just see the potential there. If we can really lock down and then be efficient on offense, almost the sky's the limit for this team. So that's good. Coming up now, looking ahead, we got a week off here. We played last night on Tuesday. We have nobody scheduled for this weekend. Hopefully by tomorrow, if they're going to schedule somebody, we would know that. But as of right now, we have the weekend off, and we go down to Clemson next Tuesday. That's a 7 p.m. Eastern tip on the ACC network. Remember, the game against Clemson before was postponed when it was supposed to be at our place, but they were playing really well there, so it kind of worked out for us to have it postponed. They went on a pause, and since the pause, they got throttled by Florida State. They just have not looked good, so maybe the right time to be seeing them. Obviously, we got a week yet till we play them, but if they struggle, kind of their post-COVID struggles, maybe we got a better chance against them. We'll see. I don't think that's a gimme by any means. I think Clemson is kind of in the same range as us as far as standings in the ACC. And then after that, the following Saturday, February 6th, we got the first matchup with Duke. And I would like to do a preview before that of Duke, but I leave out this weekend and get back Thursday. So between Thursday and Saturday, obviously, there's not a lot of time. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get one in before that Duke game. That's at Duke. It's a 6 p.m. Eastern tip on ESPN. Like I said, it'll be in Durham. And then we follow that right back 2 days later. We got Miami coming to Chapel Hill, the 8th, February 8th, Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern tip on ESPN. So, we just played at Pitt, and we go at Clemson, at Duke, and then Miami coming in. Then by then, for sure, I'll be able to podcast before the next game, which is Virginia, which is obviously a big one. So we've said kind of, are we playing that much better, or are we winning because of who we're playing? But we are definitely playing better. Obviously, we had that Florida State game in there where we lost, and we still looked okay, but they're top of the ACC team. That's kind of our next match here. Duke will be, Clemson. I think again we're right there. It should be a good game. Duke has been struggling. We'll see if they can find anything. I think we should be able to handle them, especially if we can keep pounding inside. They have, Matthew Hurt is maybe a little bit of a matchup problem for us, him going on the perimeter. But again, we hurt them down inside, get them in foul trouble, and do what we've been doing here the last couple of games. I think we're okay. And then, we'll kind of see what Miami looks like by the time we get there, who's back for them. And obviously, we know it was a struggle the first time, but we weren't playing as well as we are now either. So we'll see how that game goes, and then we'll pod again before Virginia. So that's what the Tar Heels got coming up. Like I said, a lot more positive vibes here since we've been playing better, and that's about all we can ask. So we're gonna keep on trugging. That's about all I got before we close out the podcast here. Always doing this live on YouTube, so you should be subscribed there so you get a notification when I go live, like Grant did. And Grant leaves a comment here. It says, it's amazing what hitting more threes can do for a team. Keeping opposing defenders on their toes opens up so much more for this team's potential. They're starting to get used to playing with each other. Yeah, I think so. I think we're gelling. I think also the difference is Roy is, we know how much he changes up lineups early in the season. And we didn't have, again, everybody didn't have those games early, the expeditions and the cupcakes and stuff. But Roy has figured out his rotations, I think. We've seen less of RJ and Caleb together, although the last couple of games it's been a little bit more. I think he's just kind of figured out the rotation, but also the guys have figured out how to play with each other. And yeah, like you said, and like I've said a couple of times this podcast, hitting those threes is such a difference, especially for how much we want to pound it inside and the space that we need for that. So, thanks, Grant, for that comment and for watching. And thank you, everybody, for listening to this podcast. Go share it with your friends and family. Let's keep uniting Tar Heel Nation and keep it trugging. We have broke 103,000 downloads over the course of this. I know that's not much for the big podcast. They get that maybe every show. We've been doing this for several years, but we're up over 103,000 downloads, which kind of blew my mind when I saw that. So I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. That's all I got for this time. I'll see you probably in a couple weeks. But until then, go Heels.